Hey guys, actually excited to talk about this tier list now that I'm feeling really positive about Geno. I'm jazzed for Geno, guys. I'm really jazzed for Geno, which is super exciting because I really don't have many leads to go off of, especially compared to the first wave. I mean, really, the first wave we didn't have much to go off of. It just seemed like Banjo was likely because Microsoft and Nintendo's just like blatant friendship. Like Nintendo and Microsoft really needed to get a room, and they were just not hiding it at all, and so Banjo was it seemed like the most likely pick from Microsoft back then. And then besides that, a lot of people were thinking Dragon Quest, and for good reason. Square Enix second biggest IP is probably Dragon Quest. Well, maybe we would consider. No, actually, maybe Kingdom Hearts does really well, and Kingdom Hearts is more popular. But to me, Dragon Quest would be the more popular IP, as there are so many spin-offs for Dragon Quest. So it's definitely like Dragon Quest is something that they really are passionate about. So I could see why Dragon Quest makes a lot of sense as like the next Square Enix character, and also their importance in video game history kind of is really cool. Now, if I start saying this character is important to video game history here and there, we might get too off track. So I'm not going to say that for everything, but certain characters do get that pass. So I was reading some of my comments as to get some inspiration for what to approach here. A lot of times I like to put popular characters in the very bottom tier, but a lot of characters that a lot of people in the comments seem to want aren't even listed on a lot of the fan made tier lists. And if they were, I wouldn't have entertained them anyway, because to me, I think a lot of people who expect more Nintendo-ish characters, more characters from Nintendo. Um, I don't think we're gonna. I think the way it's going to work is that if it's from a character who's already has their IP in Smash, then it's not going to be. It only will be them if they have a game that doesn't really have much representation. So, for example, Fire Emblem Three Houses is a perfect example of this, and this is something I predicted back even in Wave One. I just didn't think Byleth would be a part of Wave One. I just figured they would do the Nintendo characters for Wave Two because they already had all these DLC characters, and so it just seemed that way at the time. And not to mention, Fire Emblem Three Houses was a rather new game at the time. I think it came out the same year as the Fighters Pass. So, or no, yeah, it did, but Byleth came out earlier this year. So almost, right? So yeah, I mean, really, Byleth came out like maybe like 6 months, because Three Houses came out in the summer of last year. So the fact that Byleth came out that quick is ridiculous. But obviously, Sakurai works at Nintendo, not at Nintendo directly, but he works for a company that works for Nintendo. You know he's going to have connections, especially if he's making a Nintendo-based fighting game. So what I'm trying to say here is that Byleth is a good example of if a character is from an IP that's already in the game, then you might still have a chance of getting in as long as your IP is a new game and or some game that doesn't have representation. So Three Houses had no representation really, so it made perfect sense to include Byleth and Three Houses. And that is also why, if you look at the positive section, Pokemon Sword and Shield is right there. I have no clue. Do I think it'll be the grass starter because there is a fire starter and a water starter? Absolutely, I have no clue. I mean, I think the grass starter is a good choice this time around, but it could be anyone. A lot of people are suggesting like this electric style Pokemon, and all people are suggesting all kinds of different Pokemon. But do I think it'll be Sword and Shield? Possibly. Do I think it has to be a starter? Well, lately they've been doing the starters. I mean, Greninja and Incineroar are good evidence that they have been doing the starters lately. So while Lucario isn't a starter, I think there is a standard that it doesn't need to be a starter. It's just lately they've been doing starters. So yeah, it would make sense to do the grass starter this time. I think a lot of people aren't crazy for thinking of that pattern. So it might be the grass starter. It might be a different starter. It could be anyone. I think that Incineroar is proof that just because I think Sakurai was between the grass starter and Incineroar for Sun and Moon, and he went with the fire starter because I think he just thought it would be a more interesting moveset. In my opinion, I agree. I think we already have enough characters with bow and arrows, and Byleth was another one. And Byleth kind of does put a new spin on the bow and arrow, and literally he and she spins the bow and arrow, but the charge shot, it works a lot differently from other bow and arrows. So, I mean, we have enough characters with that dynamic. We don't need a whole character built around archery, even though it would be cool to have a character with wings who can fly and stuff. That would be cool, but I'm very happy with Incineroar. I think Incineroar is one of the most fun characters in the game. Like, personally, I really enjoy playing as him. I love him. So, like, I'm not going to bitch and moan. So, anyway, let's jump into this tier list now. And I'm going to start off with the very bottom first, and then I'll probably go to the top after that and then start going down. So first, look at the Na section. So the Na section means they have a 0% chance. These characters are not coming in. But they're still ordered in most likely. I still decided to order them in the most likely odds, but like they're just not but like it's like but really though, no. it's like this would be the order if they had a chance. But I'm gonna break it down. So first we have Shantae, who I don't think, when I say no, she has no chance, it's not because she has a spirit, because we know spirits don't deconfirm characters. But I have no idea why people seem to think that Shantae has such a high chance. Wait, is Rayman? I'm gonna go ahead and put Rayman on this list too. Yeah, no. No, I'm just kidding. I put Rayman on most unlikely because I think he still has some of a chance. But Shantae is, I mean, look, people who think we need an indie game we don't need indie game representation. We really don't. I don't know where this idea comes from. It's a fan rule that makes no sense. We don't need an indie rep at all. I just don't think Shantae has ever really had the popularity to really garner a character in Smash. Though, honestly, if they made a Shantae character, it would be much better off being a character that's already in the game by default. But I mean, I just think it's not even possible at this point. And honestly, I put Shantae on here just because I'm tired of people talking about it so much, and I really want people to move the conversation away from Shantae. Next we have Phoenix Wright, who people really love, and I again want to say no, stop. Phoenix Wright has no moveset. He would be a terrible character. I know people are like, but you're missing the joke. I know the joke. I know he'd be a gag character. I get it. And Sakurai can make any character work. But the idea that, again, the popularity thing does matter. If you're a third-party character, you're supposed to have an important spot in video game history. You know, all the characters who are third parties do have an important spot. And you might look at Joker and you might look at Terry and say, no, they don't. They do. I promise you they do. Joker represents Shin Megami Tensei as well as Persona, and yes, they have a very important part in video game history. I think Persona 4 and 5 are excellent showcases of that, and I think Persona 5 especially, which is why Joker is probably the best possible choice to represent a Shin Megami Tensei / Persona game. And then when it comes to Terry, to say that Terry is not important to video games is just such an insult to fighting games, as SNK were huge pioneers back in the 90s who really pushed the genre forward. And remember that Terry was invented by the original creators of the first Street Fighter game. They moved on to SNK after they left Capcom, so don't get it twisted, okay? Next of all, and I know Heihachi's on this list, and it's like, well, why is Heihachi in the Na section? Well, because most of you probably already know, but he has a Mii costume, so Heihachi's chances are just kind of murdered. Sorry, Heihachi. I wanted him. You see Scorpion's a little bit higher up in the list. I want Scorpion more than Heihachi, but I would have been fine with Heihachi. I want fighting game characters in Smash. I think they're all fun to play. I like Ryu, I like Ken, and I like Terry. I think I have fun playing all three of them, so I'm all for it. And Senator is basically a fighting game character, and I love him. Oh yeah, and Min counts too. So I mean, I love it. I'm all for it. But yeah, so the thing about Phoenix Wright, not a video game icon, not extremely popular, has no moveset potential, or at least if he did, it'd be all made up by Sakurai, just like how they did for Marvel's Capcom 3. That doesn't count. People saying they could do what they did in Marvel's Capcom 3. No, stop it. If you want that, then play Marvel's Capcom 3. You don't need to play Smash. Just play Marvel vs. Capcom 3. There you go. You're fine. So, stop. Next of all, And I know people are like, probably like, you're being a fun police, you're being a joy kill. The point that I'm trying to make and what I'm trying to do with my videos is to point out a realistic, possible objective guess. Obviously, everything is going to be subjective, and I admit that. And this is my personal bias. But I'm throwing my ideas out there so you can form your own opinions, and that way we can all speculate together in a educated manner. So if you really hard disagree with me, then that's fine. But that's what I'm saying. Minecraft Steve next, no. But you know what's funny is that Minecraft Steve still has a higher chance than the next three characters. Now, I think that Tracer still has a higher chance than Leon S. Kennedy from Resident Evil. And that's because Leon is a spirit. And you might, again, spirits are not deconfirmations. However, these spirits came out during the very end of Fighter Pass 1 when Fighter Pass 2 was already announced. And they did a lot of Resident Evil spirits. To me, that's not really a signal of, oh, we have Resident Evil on the way. No. If they knew Resident Evil was on the way, they would probably have just waited. Like, Shantae is not deconfirmed because of her spirit, but the Resident Evil characters are. Because they put in a bunch of Resident Evil spirits. And they put it at the end of Fighter Pass 1 when, again, they already announced Fighter Pass 2. And they probably already had the Fighter Pass 2 finalized by then, too. I mean, they even announced they're going to do 6 characters and everything. Like, they would not have said that stuff if they didn't know the details. Like, no. So, to me, Resident Evil is just out, you know? And that's why Tracer still has a chance. But not as much of a chance because Minecraft Steve and Heihachi and even Phoenix Wright, who I all say have really no chance at all. And that's because I'm pretty sure Nintendo and Blizzard are not on good terms. I don't think they are at all. Even though Overwatch is a super popular game and would make a lot of people happy, it is a shooter, but it does get into that territory of League of Legends and Dota and all those character champion-based games. Again, it's a first-person shooter, so not quite the same, but it is in that same realm where a lot of the same fans might carry over. So because it is supposed to be inspired by those games, but in a first-person shooter sense. So, well, I just don't know if those games do have a chance, but Overwatch would be the one to break the mold. That one is extremely popular. But when I have it in the Nah section, that's not a good sign. Lastly is Paper Mario, who has the most non-chance ever. So many people still claim he has a chance. Now look how high Gino is, and look at how low Paper Mario is. Now, fun thing about Papa Gino, one of my favorite YouTubers, someone who I have the utmost respect for. I honestly think, like, I love that he exists. I love what he does. I think, honestly, if you watch him and you don't know him, then I don't know how you're even here, because he's who you should be watching. And most of you people probably, I'm almost positive most of you watch this shit, but he would say Paper Mario is a better representation of the Mario RPG franchise than Gino. I would say that's a weird fan rule. Again, we don't need indie reps, we don't need FPS reps. Those are fan rules, and most people are just looking for a pattern to go off of. But to me, the pattern has no rhyme or reason. So to me, it's like, well, that's a pattern that would make sense. I think a lot of people agree, like, that's a pattern there we can look at. But I think that the Smash DLC 1 completely shatters that pattern. The idea that we need an FPS rep. Yes, in Smash 4, we had a fighting game rep, and it was our first fighting game rep. That was cool. However, I think that expectation has been completely destroyed, as we got another fighting game character in Pass 1, and we got another fighting game character in Pass 2, if you count Min Min, which you should. Because I think in the eyes of Sakurai, he would say, yes, ARMS is a fighting game. It's not a traditional 2D fighting game, but it is a fighting game at the end of the day. So, in my opinion, then you look also at Hero and Byleth and Joker, who are all three from RPGs. Turn-based RPGs. So, absolutely, yes, Fire Emblem is a strategy RPG, but nevertheless, turn-based, very anime, very swordsman. Three of the stereotype that people make fun of about Smash having too much of these kind of characters. Well, these kind of characters are the protagonist of JRPGs, and they would typically make good characters, because with JRPGs, you can kind of take some liberties with the moveset, as well as use some iconic imagery. So they're fantastic for characters for Smash. So, in my opinion, I think that the idea of representation can be completely dropped. So, the idea that the Mario RPG needs to be represented, well, the Mario RPG games which would include Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario, and Mario and Luigi. There's music from Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi in Smash for all the Mario stages. There's a stage for Paper Mario. Do you understand that? There's already a stage for Paper Mario because of the 3DS version, and it's in the Mario section. That means that Paper Mario is considered a Mario character and blah, 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 and those are considered Mario games. My best guess, which is what I always say about Paper Mario, is that Paper Mario is just Mario. Okay? Now in Smash, Mario is Mario from all of his games, but he mostly borrows moves from his main set of games. Like, he doesn't use a tennis racket from Mario Tennis, for example. He uses fireballs, capes, the flood from Mario Sunshine. He uses Cappy in his taunt. And it's like part of why he uses all these different moves is to represent Mario from many, many different games, right? So the idea is that Paper Mario and Mario RPG do the same thing. In Paper Mario and Mario RPG, you attack people by, and even Mario and Luigi, you attack people by jumping on them. You use hammers because of Donkey Kong. You can shoot fireballs as an MP attack. So, I mean, really, you could make Paper Mario and give him almost the same exact moveset as Mario, and you can call it a new character. So, to me, it just doesn't make any sense at all. Like, I know Paper Mario has a lot of paper mechanics after Thousand Year Door, where he can like turn into a paper airplane and do all sorts of weird shit now. That's all fine, and like I get that, but like in my opinion, people just being like he'd be like Mario, but his main weapon would be a hammer. That doesn't make any sense at all for a character. So I'm sorry guys, but Paper Mario is just Mario, and I know Mario and Luigi Paper Jam included Paper Mario as a separate character. So I know where you guys get this idea. I know a lot of you are like, okay, but it's a different universe. It is a different universe, but they are Mario games at the end of the day. You know, again, it's not as if it's just straight up like the same fucking. It's not as if it really is an alternate universe where Mario and Paper Mario interact with each other. You know, the Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario game was a really cool experiment, and that's just it. It was just like an experiment of the two RPG games blending together. So let's just leave it at that. Now let's get to the good stuff. So, absolutely positive. I already made a whole video. First of all, I made a video a long time ago about Geno being in Smash. That video is probably really outdated, but I made a more recent video about Geno's chances, and I'm very jazzed about Geno. I think Geno's 100% getting in. I think that Banjo is indication of this, as well as K. Rool and Ridley. Sakurai is going to throw us a bone here. And I know what you're thinking. I know you're like, okay, but we are really requesting Shantae too. Shantae may be the next game, but I feel like there's a reason why. I feel like Sakurai knows we want Geno. And I feel like he can make this happen, and he probably was saving Geno for later so he can do Banjo for the first pass and Geno for the second pass. I think it's just incredibly likely. And the people who actually do care are they're gonna know about who Geno is, and everyone who's invested in this stuff will just be happy that Geno's coming. I don't think anyone will be upset about Geno. And what's fun is that Sakurai always explains who the fuck these characters are in his little Sakurai Presents things. So I think he'll do a good job of showing people why Geno is awesome. So yeah, I'm stoked for that. Now, some of this list is going to be self-explanatory, so I'm going to move on in a general sense. So the whole idea with likely but not as sure is like, I'm pretty sure these characters are the most likely going to get in, but there's a few things holding me back, which I say this every time I do a tier list video in this style. And, you know, for one, it's like, is Travis really that deserving? You know, he could just be an assist trophy at the end of the day. So is he really that deserving? But like, he's friends with Suda51. Travis definitely has the moveset potential. A lot of people would be really happy about it. And I mean, to me, He, to me, it's like if we can have Shulkin, then I don't know why we can't have Travison. I know it's a little bit different because Nintendo does own that studio, but it's just like if we can have Shulkin, I don't see why we can't have Travison. Every so often a smaller tier character gets in, but oh my gosh, that music in Smash is perfect. So lately, they asked Suda51 how he thought about Travis getting into Smash or something like that, and he said no comment. Which is funny because usually he would say stuff like "I want him in" and stuff like that. So I don't know, I don't know, but I do think that Travis does at least have a stronger chance than everyone below him. And I definitely think he has a stronger chance than Master Chief because Master Chief is sort of like a crazy wild card pick. But I do think we're going to need some crazy wildcard picks. So if you're going off of my top 5, which would be Geno, Ryu Hayabusa, a Pokemon character, and then, Travis Touchdown, and then Master Chief, that's 5 characters, and that would fill out the character slots. And yeah, I do see all of them having a chance. Honestly, I think if I had to fill out my most likely, I would put these guys in, and you might say, okay, well, you need to diversify more. But reality, remember, Min Min is the first character, so we already have some diversity there. But then really look at the characters and then tell me they're not that diverse. The only two who are somewhat similar would be Ryu and Travis Touchdown because they both have swords. But Ryu would only fight. Ryu's sword attacks wouldn't be his entire arsenal. Ryu, in fact, you could make a moveset where he uses a sword only in a few attacks, and it would be completely fine. In fact, his smash attacks could be weapons from the 3D Ninja Gaiden games, and his B attacks could be more special magic moves from the NES games. There's a lot you can do with Ryu Hayabusa because these two game franchises are vastly different from each other, and it would be a lot of fun to have both costumes, his modern costume and his old school costume. And it would be the fun as fuck to see in his trailer a bunch of references to the NES style Ninja Gaiden games. The trailer makes itself. So Ryu Hayabusa's chances are super through the roof, in my opinion, especially if a character like Terry can get in. And some people would even say that about Hero and Banjo. If they can get in, then I think Ryu can 100% get in. Ninja Gaiden is also another classic NES game, and it's like when you look at Castlevania getting in, that's a big part of it. Most of Castlevania, funnily enough, is not based off of any of the later content. It's mostly all based off of the NES games. So they could do something like that for Ryu Hayabusa. Even Mega Man is mostly based off his NES design, even though he does have moves from the later games. It's mostly, again, based off his NES design. So I could see Ryu getting in, and again, you can do anything with him because he's got so many games. So it would be really, really cool to get Ryu in. I mean, what else can I say? Like, he's like a perfect choice. Honestly, he's like a perfect choice. And so that's why. But then when you look at Travis Touchdown, his moves, he has no ninja skills, no ninja attacks, no throwing stars, no like weird spells. He does have wrestling moves, but those would probably just be locked to his grab animations. His B attacks could be based around his slot machine stuff, which his slot machine stuff would be his final smash as well. Travis can turn to like a tiger. He can shoot fireballs. He can do all sorts of crazy shit. So, and then when you add in the third game, it's like who knows what move he could have from the third No More Heroes game, right? So, I mean, the potential is crazy right now. Not to mention there is also that handheld spin-off game, Travis Strikes Again. So, I mean, again, his moveset is there, and it would be way different from Ryu. Just because they both use swords doesn't mean anything. So then you look at characters like Min Min, who fights completely unique compared to everyone else in Smash. Like, no one, she's going to fight like no one. And no matter what DLC they put in, she's always going to fight unique. She will only not fight uniquely if they make another ARMS character who would end up just being a semi-clone anyway. So really, there's no point adding in another ARMS character. Even in the sequel game, there's just no point. Like, honestly, Smash should just always keep just Min Min only, and that's fine. Don't really need any other characters from ARMS. And yeah, so when you look at this cast, you have Min Min, who is a female character with fucking spring arms. So that's pretty fucking diverse. You have Geno, who is a wooden puppet who would have mostly projectile attacks and other magic-based attacks. Could fight similar to Zelda and Mega Man mixed as one character, or maybe even a little bit of Samus mixed in there. But basically, yeah, going to be a fast, short zoner that has the potential to be really, really fun, awesome character. Maybe really weak melee attacks, but really, really strong zoning abilities. So that was, again, that has the chance to be a super duper strong character. Uh, and then you have a Pokemon character who Pokemon characters usually fight pretty fucking uniquely. Sometimes they fight like other Pokemon characters, like Lucario and Mewtwo and Greninja have some things in common, but their speed and abilities and all that stuff are so vastly different that they might as well just be unique characters. So a new Pokemon character is going to be unique no matter what, but also it's like a furry creature, animal style character in the middle of our 6 characters here. Which again, one of them's a puppet, one of them's a serious ninja, one of them's like a dude in street clothes with a laser sword, and then of course Master Chief, who would fight very unique compared to everyone else on this list as well. So I think this list actually has a strong chance of being true, but I would never say this list is 100% true. If I'm 100% right, then I mean, I deserve $1,000,000, because I think the chances of this being 100% correct is actually slim. And to be completely honest, I think I think the two that would fuck it up would be Master Chief and Travis. But we'll just have to see. The next character could be not one of these 5, but if I had to bet, I would bet on one of these 5 being the next character announced. Now, less likely chance, Crash is here because the hype for Crash mostly happened after Smash Ultimate was announced. And so while I think Sakurai knows people do want Crash, I don't think he knows it's as important as a lot of other characters. So I just don't think. And also, Crash's moveset isn't quite there for me, honestly. Now, I don't think Crash has zero chance at all. I love Crash Bandicoot games. I think Crash is an awesome character. But I just don't think he's quite there. Next up, we have Dante from Devil May Cry. Again, I've said recently that I just don't think his chances are as high. I think Capcom is kind of just written off at this point. If you notice, he's the only Capcom character on here besides Phoenix Wright. And that's because if they're going to do a Capcom character, I do believe it would be Dante. And for that reason, I think that's even more reason why Sakurai is like, nah, I'm moving away from that. I don't really want to do that. So I think it's a good call from Sakurai to just avoid Capcom altogether, avoid Dante. But if, in my opinion, I don't know why he wouldn't want to do Resident Evil. Like, to me, I think that would be better. But maybe he just thinks those characters would be too boring and not work very well. And I understand that, because I only want Resident Evil characters in because, to me, those are some of my favorite games. So I understand him looking at the characters and saying, no, not them, not them. If it was me, I would put them in, but it's not me. So it's what it is, what it is. Sora is here, and that's because I would love to put Sora in the very top list. Now, a lot of people who want Sora are very passionate about Sora, and I'm with you guys. I say this all the time, that if they put Sora in, I would cry. Like, Sora is my number 1 most wanted character, and putting him this low, it doesn't pain me because I'm used to it, but I just don't think his chances are as high now. Sakurai knows Nomura. Sakurai is friends with Nomura. He had to become friends with Nomura to get Cloud in. But how little representation Cloud got is kind of a knock against Sora. You guys might say, okay, but then you want Geno in, you want Dragon Quest in. Yeah, but I think the Final Fantasy stuff is different. I think that those people alongside Smash and Square Enix are different, because what we got with Dragon Quest was a much better representation than what we got with Final Fantasy. So I just don't know if we'll get Sora, and if we did, I know some people are like, okay, but we can put Sora in and not do Donald and Goofy and Mickey. We don't have to do Disney stuff. I hear you. And someone who said the Keyblade would have the keychain instead of being the Mickey Mouse logo, would be the Smash logo. I would 100% agree with you. Sakurai would do that. If Sakurai put Sora in, that's exactly what he would do. But I just think that with the spirits involved, while it's possible to do this without any of the Disney stuff, it's 100% is. It does feel like it wouldn't be the spirit of the character. And I know some people say he doesn't need those characters because all the other anime characters. I know. I'm with you. And I would, again, if I was a director, I would do it. I would be putting myself on the line like that. And I think Sora is such a hype choice that even though I think he really does deserves to be in the Slim Chance category, because the hype surrounding him would be insane. It's like Sakurai might just do it for that alone. So it's, again, I don't want to say 0% chance, because I think Kingdom Hearts does deserve to be in Smash. 100% I believe that. But I just don't know because the whole Mickey Mouse Disney stuff does concern me. And again, I know you guys are like, you don't need to include any of that. I know, but that's just such a huge part of what Sora's about. At the end of the day, and that's my opinion. You guys can disagree, but to me, that's just so much. And you notice how like I have a tone where I get angry and make fun of people when it comes to certain characters, and I don't do it for Sora. And that's because I hear you guys on a lot of it. If I'm being honest with myself though, and I ask you guys to be honest with yourselves too, I just think that Sora's identity is too connected to Disney stuff because the game is a 50-50 crossover between Disney and Square Enix, and it's just, to me, it's just not possible. So I have him in slim chance, or I have him. He should be in slim chance, but the hype surrounding him is so big, which is why 2B is after him, because I do think 2B does have a chance of getting in Smash, but I feel like if 2B got in over Sora, that would just be weird. But 2B does have a chance. Also, 2B has that whole thing with Smash is for good boys and girls. And while Nier Automata is a fantastic game with a amazing story, and there's so many cool factors about it, you would just have the Black Void, I guess. Like, it would just be really hard to see it progress. They would just have to put the Black Void in, which it's not impossible. It's 100%, just like how Sora, they could edit to make it work. They could edit 2B to make it work. It's not impossible at all. They could even give her the shorts that 9S wears. I mean, in my opinion, that might be better because I hate the Black Void. I literally would rather see them wearing like little shorts, or like Palutena wears, or just have them just wear pants under, like how Zelda used to do it in like Smash for Wii U and Smash Brawl. Like, I would really rather that. I hate the Black Void so much. It's just unnatural and weird. Like, just, I don't, whatever. Anyway, I understand that the whole thong thing might be weird, and I'm not advocating that games need to keep thongs, even though I see nothing wrong with it personally. I understand why they get taken out, especially for a game rated E10 plus. But like, let's just, can we just give her black shorts or something? It's so much better. Please just do that. Anyway, we have Scorpion here. I do think Scorpion does have a chance, but his chance is the most unlikely of for sure. If there's going to be another fighting game character, I do think Scorpion is the one. His moveset would be super interesting and super fun. He would be a fantastic character, but it would be such a weird choice that I just don't know. I think if I had to say like Sora is like my most 100% wanted character, Scorpion is in my top 5 somewhere. I think he would be super fun for Smash. I think he would be perfect, and whatever. So that's all good, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. Let's go to the slim chance category. I wish Rex and Pyra were higher on this list because I think they have an amazing potential for moveset. I think they are just a really awesome character to see on screen. I would love to see a little character with this girl like flying behind him, or at least like if you don't see Pyra flying behind him, then his sword would change. Like he would, because she is part of his sword too. Like if he's using that sword, that means Pyra is with him, and if he's using the other sword, that means Mythra is with him. And then he has other swords for other characters. They're actually called blades, but yeah, he has other swords for like whichever blades you get. I like Xenoblade 2. I bought Xenoblade 2 because I thought Rex and Pyra had a chance of getting in Smash, and I wanted to see what they would be like, and I enjoyed it very thoroughly. And then when Smash came out, and I kind of understood how the spirits worked, I was really upset they probably weren't going to get put in. And now we're at this point where not only do they have spirits in, but they have Mii costumes in, and they have music in. And it's like, wow, you have multiple Mii costumes of different characters from Xenoblade 2, which wouldn't be a damning thing. But Rex is one of them, and that's where it's like, ooh, not so sure. But I don't even think that damns him 100%. But then when you combine that with the music, man, that's when it gets rough. So to me, I just feel like they have a better shot at the next game, but because I don't know what they could add more songs from Xenoblade 2. Don't get me wrong, and a new stage from Xenoblade 2 would be fine. It's just that when you have all that combined in, and that's why he's not in the Na section. He's still got a chance, and it's clear Sakurai would probably want him in, right? this character's up Sakurai's alley for sure. And he I think he even said he likes Xenoblade too. But it's just that you know, it's just that I feel like it would have been better if he didn't make a Mii costume for Rex if he had planned to put him in for another fighter pass. So I think he just knew right away it wasn't going to happen. I wish I could put this character up higher on the list, but just with all the factors surrounding it. But if there is a chance, there's a small chance that when Sakurai put Rex in as a Mii costume to hold people over and to apologize for the fact that Rex wasn't going to be in the base game, there was a small chance that he didn't know for sure that they were going to do a second pass, and he didn't know for sure that Rex would ever have a chance of getting an ultimate, and then all those things happening, and then when Nintendo greenlit the second pass for him to say, okay, I want Rexen, and then yes. So that's a chance. That's why it's slim chance. Now this next, I'm gonna go over these next ones quickly, but Lara Croft, not much. With all these other possible characters, I just don't see her getting in. I don't think the moveset is there, and I think she's just kind of too boring. You know, I think in the West we like characters who just have normal clothes and guns, but I don't think they like them in Japan that much. I think Lara Croft has her icon. I think she is an icon in video games, but not really this version. You know, the old version is, and I just don't. I just think Smash just want to touch it. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think I wouldn't do it. You know, and I just don't think Sakurai was gonna do it. But also, maybe. But if they do another Square Enix character and it's not Geno and it's not Sora, I know Sora's Disney of Japan, but just entertain me. If they do another Square Enix character and it's not one of the other characters, even 2B or anyone, and they do Lara Croft, I would just be shocked. That's all I'm saying. Next up we have Doom Guy, otherwise known as Doomslayer. My decision to have him this low, it has nothing to do with Microsoft buying Bethesda. Nothing to do with that. My decision is because if you look at the King section, yeah, a certain character was put in as a Mii costume. Now, typically they do 7 or 6 Mii costumes every fighter. So the idea of doing a Bethesda Mii costume, no. Now, Bethesda made a statement last pass that they didn't really talk to Nintendo about Smash stuff at all. And so there's a chance that Sakurai just went hey, I'll put a Mii costume in and do Fallout. Now, why would they say do Fallout? Because Fallout 76, that's why. Bethesda knows what makes them fucking money. It's fucking Fallout. So, yeah, them putting in a Vault Boy, I could see them negotiating that with Nintendo, and I could see that, yeah. I think it is a good fit, though. And to be fair, because it is Vault Boy, you can put your Mii in the Vault Boy costume and just not use the Vault Boy head. So, yeah, it's completely viable. So, yeah. So, because of that, that's why I think that Doomslayer isn't getting in. Again, has nothing to do with Microsoft buying Bethesda. It has everything to do with what happened with Fighter Pass 6. So, sorry, Doomslayer. But again, it's not like it can't happen. I would never say, because honestly, I think Doomslayer would be fucking badass in Smash. I would love to see how they would design his armor. I bet you would be the really lighter green, like the classic one, but maybe based with the modern armor style. I don't know, but I would love to see a Smash design, because the characters in Smash are not gritty like Western games. They're bright and colorful like Japanese games. So I think he would be. I would love to see him in the Smash character, like a Smash 3D render. That would be fucking awesome. We need Artsy Omni to make a Doomslayer. Yeah, he might have already done it. But next up is Monster Hunter, who I just don't, guys. I just don't think so. This is the longest stretch of all. Now I know Min Min got in, and there is an assist trophy from ARMS. And there's an assist trophy from Monster Hunter, but I just don't see it. First of all, Min Min is a first-party character, not a third-party character. Second of all, you can represent Monster Hunter with a assist trophy better than you can with an actual playable character. 100%. And that is why when they do crossovers with Monster Hunter, they don't put in characters from Monster Hunter in other games. What they do is let you play as other characters. Like you can play as like Ryu and Leon and Dante in Monster Hunter, and they let the monsters be in games like Metal Gear Solid and Final Fantasy 14. You can fight characters from Monster Hunter. You can fight the monsters from Monster Hunter. Typically Rathalos. So putting Rathalos in Smash was a fantastic call. That's pretty much all you need to do to represent Monster Hunter in Smash, and I think that's a perfectly good call. Now, why we don't have the Monster Hunter DLC? Well, it's because most of the third-party Mii Fighter costumes weren't released with the base game. The only Mii Fighter costumes released with the base game seem to be the ones from Smash, seem to be the first-party characters for Smash 4. So we are seeing more repeat characters for Smash Ultimate, and we might end up seeing the Monster Hunter character eventually. But as of right now, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen as an actual playable character. So we might see the skin later, but it might be like Heihachi, where a lot of people are saying it could be Heihachi, because the other skins from Virtual Fighter got put in without Heihachi, and Heihachi was the only one that didn't get put in. And it's like, well, maybe. Well, no, Heihachi got put in, so it's not happening. But again, I'll put slim chance because Monster Hunter is so popular that it could still happen. But in my opinion, I think Sakurai is like, well, Monster Hunter is in Smash because Monster Hunter is an assist trophy. So again, I'm not holding out. I really would not hold out hope, which is why Lloyd is here. I think Lloyd's the same thing as Doomslayer, where if you're gonna put in a skin from a third-party company, then you should probably do it when you release that third-party character. Now, with Sega, they broke that rule because they put Virtual Fighter characters in when Fatal Fury, when Terry came out. Now, that was a good time to do it because it was mostly fighting game themed that time around. So that was a good time to do it. But, I'm just saying, they put in all Sega characters with the Sega character, and then they kind of broke that rule later. So I think that the costumes can be from any company. But typically, when they can make the costumes match that game, that seems to be what they do. So far, that seems to be what they do. And yeah, so let's look at Lloyd. If they're going to do a Namco character, they would have to do him because they already did Heihachi. But I think the Lloyd Mii Fighter costume is just, he's just going to come later. I think when they do Geno, they'll put the Lloyd costume in or something because he's also from an RPG. Like, I could see them doing that. So I just think I think the Lloyd costume is just coming eventually. I think Lloyd is just not getting in this time. So not going to happen, I don't think. Next up, the most unlikely. This is the last final thing. I put Rayman on here. Rayman has a chance, but it's not gonna happen. I'm pretty sure it's not gonna happen. But we have Xenogears and we have Toho. All right, it could happen. I think Terry's proof it could happen. So all the Toho fans are going crazy about it. But I think the chances are just very, 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 very slim. I don't have too much to say other than I have no reason to say no. But I just have a lot of evidence for everything else I've suggested. So what you should be taking away is up top and the positive and then the most likely. Or in the likely section. And then possibly one of these guys in the could happen section might get in there as well. Now, to me, I'm going to go ahead and consider Geno as part of a Nintendo character because he's going to be from Mario. Like, they're not going to make a new icon for Geno. It's going to be a Mario icon. So for that reason, I think that I'm going to go ahead and consider Geno to be a Nintendo character, even though I know they're going to need Square Enix's consent in order to put Geno in. I think they have their consent already because Geno is in the game as a spirit. He's in the game as a multiplayer icon. But okay, you look at the fact that there's Xenoblade 2 music, and then you look at the fact that they have no music from Mario RPG, even though there's Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi music. Dude, Mario, you know when you play Fortune Street, they play music from from Mario RPG. They play music from Mario RPG in Fortune Street. Now, Square Enix makes Fortune Street, but I'm just saying, people know that soundtrack. It's a very good OST, and it's one that deserves to be represented. And I mean, Gino's theme song, like the song mostly associated with Gino is like The Lost Woods from Mario RPG. And I mean, that's like Papa Gino's theme song too, right? So it's like the idea, I mean, come on. Like, come on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, man, Gino has the chance, okay? And so what I'm saying is that I'm considering him a Nintendo character, and with Min Min and with Pokemon, that's like 3 Nintendo characters. And even if you want to say that's only 2 Nintendo characters, that's more than the first pass. And I think that's what we're gonna see. I think there's still gonna be more Nintendo characters than just Min Min. You know, yes, we only had one Nintendo character with Byleth, but I think a new Pokemon is 100%. I don't think it's 100% actually, because I think they could skip a Pokemon because Incineroar does count as a new Pokemon. But the reason why I put it on the list is because if they're going to do another Nintendo character, it's going to be from a game that's not really that well represented in Smash. ARMS at least didn't have a stage and didn't have music, so it makes sense to represent ARMS in Smash. Okay, in fact, I would have probably still put ARMS in the Slim Chance category. Not even most unlikely. I'd probably put them in Slim Chance category if we're talking about Fighter Pass 1. You know, so. And that's the thing. Even though I have characters up on the positive and likely but not as sure category, now I had Dragon Quest and Banjo up here last time around. But I also had Ryu Hayabusa and Travis Touchdown really high up on this list too. So what that says to me is that Sakurai is willing to skip over a lot of that stuff and go for the more unlikely choices, which is why it's important to fill out these bottom tiers. So I do think we could see one of these other characters instead of Travis or Master Chief. It's totally likely, totally possible. But we'll just have to see. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up here. Yeah, like the fact that Terry got in is really, really strong evidence that like a lot of characters can get in. And that is why this unlikely section even has a chance. And maybe I should even put more characters on here just to say like, yeah, it could happen. Could happen. If Sakurai just randomly likes a game, could happen. But I think what I got up here is very strong. So that being said, let's go ahead and end this video because it's about an hour long now. And I'll see you guys on the next one.